Inter, though. Inter intrigued me. I think I saw a lot of tweets on the final whistle saying things like, so the winner of Real Madrid against Manchester City is the European champion. You know, this Inter Milan team are not worthy of a final. Things to that. And, you know, we should always take anything we read on Twitter with a pinch of salt. I'm taking it with a pinch of salt. Nigel, I feel like you might take it with like a ladle of salt. I mean, do you think Inter can win the final?
It's football. Anything can happen. I think that the thing you got to give credit to is this. We always say this, and the greatest manager of all time said it as well, Sir Alex Ferguson. Championships are built off the back of defense and clean sheets. Inter Milan are that team right now where it's not just defensive minded all the way through, but they've got players who can score goals too. And they look good defensively. If you can look good defensively, their style of play, for instance, let's just say if it was Manchester City that got to the final, that frustrates Manchester City. We've seen them struggle so many times when teams are comfortable to camp in, make you work, make it difficult for you. When you've got the likes of Lukaku who can go the other way, Jekov, like it will be an interesting tie. And I would not just hand it straight to Manchester City. You got, like we said earlier, you've got to give this Inter Milan team credit because they're not just playing like this out of nowhere. They're coached to play this style and system. And when you watch them, they're very comfortable throughout the whole 90 minutes.
This is an Inter Milan team that is built for cup competition. There's a reason why they're in the Coppa Italia final. There's a reason why they're in the Champions League final. They're a complete team from front to back. And the X factor that in a final that they also have, they have a set piece specialist. I wouldn't be surprised, and I said it a couple weeks ago, I wouldn't be surprised if with so much hype, they will favor being the underdog. They will welcome that. Yep, they will do the Italian job going in, make it as ugly as they need to be. They're a team that can be effective sitting back, hitting you on counter, or killing you with a ton of passes. If they play Man City or Madrid, those two teams will, because that's the semifinal opponent. Whichever team they play, the other team will have much of the ball. They have the depth to wear you down, and I just wonder if a 1-0 sort of match, if that's what we're in for. I am picking this Inter team. I think they're good enough to beat either Real Madrid or Man City. I think they win the Champions League this year. There's just that special something about this team. I'm going.
Whoa, that's too
I'm
far.
going with them.
I was going to give you credit for the good line. You gave a great line there. They're good enough to do the Italian job. I like that line. That there is just a silly statement. Mate, let's move on quickly before people take it.
Producer Des, can you cut it after the Italian job line and do Mike a favor?
I mean, to be fair, I can see where Mike's coming from in sort of the Euro 2020 Azzurri approach. I'm not so sure it's going to work, but the one thing that I would sort of build on that idea with Mike a little bit is that I think it would actually suit Inter to go up against Real more than City, because Real tend to pick their best performances based on sort of whether or not they see the opponent as being sort of like a worthy adversary. And I think they would look at Inter and fancy their chances a lot more than City would. I don't think City would take it for granted if they make it past Real on Wednesday. So I think that Real would probably be a more winnable game for Inter than City will.
I like that point from JJ, even though I completely disagree, because if I'm Inter Milan, what I really want to do is play the team that always find a way to lose the Champions League that seems to be theirs.
I agree.
I think over 180 minutes, I don't think Inter would have. I mean, they'd have a sporting chance, but I don't think they'd really do what they do incredibly well to match either Madrid or Inter. I think in one game, though, as Nigel was saying, they've got a real chance. But whatever Mike Lahoud's been drinking, I don't want to touch it, because we know that whoever comes out of tomorrow's semi-final, and we'll talk about that briefly, we know whoever comes out of it is going to be the favourite.